Hey everyone, it's June 25th, and that means that if today is your birthday, you share it with serial killer Anthony Allen Shore, known as the Tourniquet Killer, who raped and murdered at least 5 victims in the 1980s and 90s. And that is him right up there. Shore was born in 1962 in South Dakota, and with his parents in the Air Force, his family moved frequently throughout his childhood. At the age of 5, he began having recurring nightmares, often causing him to wet the bed. That same year, his family moved to Kansas, where he killed a neighbor's kitten when told he couldn't play with it. The family moved to Alabama a few years later, where Shore was picked on and bullied in school. Now living in Florida at the age of 13, he was molested by his mother, and a few years later began using drugs. His parents divorced, and Shore was emancipated at the age of 17. In 1983, he moved to Texas, where he married and had 2 daughters. But there was no happy ending for his story, because in 1986, Shore killed for the first time. He kidnapped and molested a 15-year-old girl as she was walking to school, then strangled her with a ligature and dumped her body behind a Mexican restaurant in Houston. In 1992, he killed again, this time sexually assaulting and killing a 21-year-old nanny, dumping her body behind a Dairy Queen. The next year, he broke into the home of a 16-year-old who he tied up and molested, but fled before killing her. That same year, he split with his wife after admitting to having several affairs. The now 32-year-old Shore started dating an 18-year-old girl, but his behavior didn't change because in 1994, Shore beat, molested, and strangled a 9-year-old girl, leaving her body on a loading dock. This case led the police to discover a rope with a bamboo stick that he had been using to kill his victims. He would place the rope around their neck and twist the stick to slowly strangle them to death. The next year, he kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and killed a teenager in his van, and then a week later placed an anonymous phone call to the news to tell them where to find her body. His daughters revealed to their mother that he'd been molesting them, and an investigation ensued. Shore married his much younger girlfriend in 1997, shortly before child molestation charges were formally filed against him. And why wouldn't you want to lock somebody like that up? He took a plea deal to avoid prison time, but had to submit his DNA and go on the sex offender registry. In 2003, DNA samples from the murders were entered into a nationwide database, and Shore came up as a match. While being interrogated, he confessed to 4 murders and a rape, saying that he had switched from a ligature to a tourniquet for killing because I hurt my finger while murdering my first victim. He was convicted and sentenced to death and remained on death row for 14 years. In early 2018, he underwent lethal injection, with his last words as it was being administered being, "Ooh-wee, I can feel that." If this is your birthday, I hope you have a great day. Leave me a comment so I can wish you a happy birthday. If you know somebody whose birthday it is today, send them this video so they can find out all about their birthday twin. And to Anthony Allen Shore, I say, happy birthday, you bastard.